Hi guys, welcome to another session of Live Well. So every Sunday we get together, we talk about our physical health, our mental health, our spiritual health, and also our financial health. Well, today we're going to start all over and we're going to rewind to a subject that we did a few weeks ago, and we're going to talk about mental health. Today I have my good friend Larry Bennett joining us from Tennessee. He's going to kind of introduce himself. So hi Larry.
Hey, how are you doing? My name is Larry Bennett. A background for me, I did serve in the military for 13, 14 years. I decided to get out of the military and pursue my passion for teaching. Um, which I got a bachelor's and a master's degree to do that. Um, since I've been in the teaching profession, I've done a lot of mental health with students and teachers. I've worked at high school, middle school, and elementary, trying to understand, how students develop through different stages of their life. To try to understand, when we become adults, those things that we don't know how we act, where did those things come from? And I found that many of those things just come from the little things that we do in elementary school. You'll be amazed that you act the exact same way, handle situations, because no one ever stopped and taught you, how to change your approach to that.
Right. So I like that we kind of both have that similar background, like coming from the military and then went into teaching. And so when I reached out to you about, sitting and doing this session, you actually gave me a good idea to talk about mental health as far as like the younger generation and how it affects them, because I had never even considered that. So I like that you brought that perspective to this conversation. It's definitely something I feel like, if you're listening to this session, to sit down with your kids and have them listen as well. And so, Larry, when we're talking about mental health and how it affects the younger generation, younger kids, first, what is mental health? What does it mean to you?
Okay, mental health to me is, first of all, the term mental health is not a negative term. That's just your state of mind and how you are. It could be bad mental health, it could be good mental health. So for me, mental health is your state of mind. And I think that what you'll find is most of us have a different state of mind from when we start off in the morning until we end. But the goal is really to keep that same mindset throughout the day so we can be stable in our approach. One of the keywords that I like to use is safe. I know people are safe if I know what I'm going to get when I go to that person. And it's easier to deal with people if you know what you're going to get every time. So we don't want that groggy feeling in the morning and then a pumped up feeling in the afternoon and then a sleepy feeling, in the at the end of the day. I think that for our mental health, especially for our child, we kind of want the same, mindset the whole day.
So what is some advice that you would give to parents as far as monitoring their kids, their mental health?
Well, the very first thing that you can do as a parent is make sure that your kid has a good routine. What does that mean? That means that it doesn't matter what parameters you specify. It just means that they need to do the same thing every day. So if they get up at 8 o'clock in the morning on school days, they need to do that every single day. They get up, take a shower, go eat, get ready for the school bus, come home, do homework, play outside, go to sleep. The most important thing for children is to have routine and know what's expected. We find that most of our students who have behavior issues or challenges, it starts because they don't have that stable life. So for a parent, the best thing that you could do is have a routine so your kid know what's going to happen. If you eat dinner at 6:30, 7 o'clock, at 6:30, 7 o'clock, your kid knows what's going to happen. The best thing about routine is it takes away our anxiety because we know what's going next. And for a child, it's best if they know what's coming next. It takes away that feeling of anxiety of, Where am I going to stay? What am I going to eat? Things of that nature. So for me, the very first thing is your kid has to have a routine every single day. And your routine may be different than others because everyone works in different jobs and do different things. As long as you have that routine for your kids. Um, I've gotten to the point now that even when school is not in or on the weekend, that you still get up at the same time
Right.
because your mind, after a while, if you get up at 7 or 8 o'clock, in the morning, you'll start getting up there without the alarm clock. So I just think the very first thing is routine. Um, the second thing is that, and what people don't understand is no one's born bad or good. We develop, certain things from certain adults and environments. Um, the first thing that I like to do is try to instill confidence. And many of us, we look at the really big goals that we try to accomplish. But the truth is, every day, you or your child should look for two little goals that you can make throughout the day. Just two goals. One thing, okay, you know what? One of my goals is I am not going to try to yell at someone. That's one of my goals throughout the day. The next goal for a child may be when I get home, I'm going to do my homework. Anytime that you reach these small little goals, you develop confidence in yourself. And okay, you know what? I can do it. I can do my homework by myself. I can go through, I can go through the day without yelling or hollering at someone. I think what typically happens is when people think of goals, they think of these really big goals that are going to take them, 10, 15 months or years to accomplish. And for a child, it's hard to ask a child, for the whole year, I want you to do this. It's almost impossible. So I think that for a kid each day, when that kid gets up at the same time, their mindset needs to be, okay, what are my goals for today? And at the end of the day, okay, did I reach my goals for the day? Two small goals. Doesn't have to be anything big. Just knowing that you did it develops confidence. And I think the last thing is, and this is for adults and for kids, is I know that I did a class one time for our teachers, and it's called Check Yourself. And what it is like every 2 or 3 hours of the day, you have what I call a check yourself session. First of all, the first question you need to ask, okay, what is bothering me right now? What is in my headspace right now? What is going on? The second thing is, can I really do anything about what in my headspace right now? Can I really do anything about that? And then the third thing is, what have I did earlier in the day that made me happy, or what can I do later on in today to make me happy? And these self checks that you do throughout the day, help you, check yourself so you don't get overwhelmed. Because what we'll do is, kids and parents, that you'll start off at 8 and something at 5 o'clock will be bothering you and driving you crazy. Every 2 hours, a little self check. Okay, what's going on right now? What am I thinking about? Okay, this is really bothering me. Second step, what can I really do about that conversation that I can have at 5 o'clock right now? I could try to prepare, but can't really do anything right now. And the third thing is, what happened to me that was happy? Or what am I doing later on that happy? Oh, you know what? In about 3 or 4 hours, you know what? I'm going to go out. I'm going to play on the playground with my friends, and I'm going to have fun. I think that it's just important to like check yourself. It's like a freeze. It's like a reset.
Yeah.
I know myself dealing with students in behavior. I do that a lot of times. It's a reset. We want to start over. We want to change your mindset. I even do a little thing that sometimes when I feel like a student is having a bad day or a rough start, I'll turn around and do a half circle. I was like, okay, now you know what? You start your day over again. All right, let's try again. We walked one way and it didn't work. Now we're gonna walk the other way. So I just think it is important for a kid to have a routine. They need small little goals each day. And then throughout the day, they themselves have to check themselves. What's going on right now? What's bothering me? What do I have to look forward to?
Yeah, I like what you one of the someone that I listened to, Dr. Caroline Leaf, she's a neuroscientist, and she talks all the time about like cleaning up your mental mess. And one of the things, like you said, you check yourself, she calls them brain breaks. So just like every hour, just taking that mental
Mm-hmm.
brain break and doing something that you enjoy. It can just be, taking a break and just coloring for a second, or just taking a deep breath throughout the day. And so I think that that's like really, really important, that sometimes, because you mentioned, creating routines and those things, but sometimes even when you cannot stick to your routine for the day because life happens, it's okay to take that brain break and, like you said, regroup and, to just start over. So what is some services that you have used, or that you have recommended to parents as far as helping their kids deal with the mental part of them and what's happening?
And so I think the first thing, and people are going to be surprised, the very first thing that you can do for your kids' mental health is they need to play sports, and they need to get out and be with other little kids, run and have fun, and pretty much understand how the world works. Sports provide a good opportunity for kids to see different types of kids that may be from different backgrounds. And what it will do is it will tell your kid, you know what? That kid right there doesn't run so fast. So you know what? It's okay if I'm not the fastest person. That kid over there, they hit the ball farther. So it's okay, if I hit the ball farther than my best friend. So I think that the very first thing that I always recommend to parents is get your kid in sports, because it gives your kids, first of all, they get to be around other kids. And no matter what we do, we cannot teach kids like other kids teach them. They will follow what other kids are doing. So if you get them in the sports, that's to me is always the very first thing. The second thing that I think that that all parents need to look at, especially if your kid has been to any kind of traumatic, event, it's okay to have your kids in counseling. It's okay to have your kids, with the therapist. I know that, typically in the poor or minorities, that that seem kind of negative. No, that's not a negative thing. That is giving the kid an avenue to speak about things in a safe um, area, a safe, place. So I think sports someone, I think that having a counselor or therapist, or, that could be, the church youth group, the church pastor, the community center. Your kids have to have an avenue where the parent is not breathing down on the kid. Because if I ask my kids something and they give me an explanation or what they think about it, and someone else asks them, it's a totally different. It's a totally different response. So I think it's okay that if your kid's been through those traumatic events, and traumatic event may be separation, it may be divorce, it may be abuse, it may be loss of a family member, it may be them moving. It's okay to have your kids in counseling and therapy. And then the third thing, I think that parents, that you gotta hold your kid responsible.
Yeah.
You can't allow them to get away with things on days upon end. Even, I mean, no one's perfect. You may yell at your kid, you know, you may punish your kid, but I think it's okay, as long as your kid understands that there's some kind of standard. Because what happens is, if in your mind, if your kid grows up and think that they can do whatever, well, their mental health becomes, very, not necessarily empathetic to others. So they start doing things, to other people, and they did it at home, and my mom didn't say anything about it. I cursed at my mom and she didn't say anything. I hit my dad, he didn't say anything. So they start doing these things out, in the community, and get people wondering, well, why doesn't that kid care? We're born into environments. Our environments determine who we're going to be. Every once in a while, you get an exception. You get someone who just is totally above, most of us, they're like that one person out of a million. But most of the time, wherever environment you come through, that's the person you're going to be. So I think the funniest thing, and then I'm almost finished. The funniest thing is my daughter, she always tells me, well, you my parent, you taught me. She always tells me that. So when she does something that's wrong, she's like, well, don't you supposed to be teaching me what to do? So I think it's important for your parents. The last thing, like I said, is hold your kids accountable when they do things that are wrong, and praise them when they do things that are good. You know, well, it's their chores. You know what? Thank you for cleaning up your room. It makes me feel really good when you just go through and clean up your room, and I don't have to tell you. And kids like that. So yeah, I just think that for parents, if you want to help your kids' mental health, sports. And if they've been through that traumatic event, it's okay to do counseling and therapy. And then the last thing, you gotta hold them accountable, because it's your responsibility when they go out into this world. Well, I don't know what happened. I never would have thought. Yes, you have to. Your friend, your the kid's phone, the kid's room. Those are all your property. My kids know that they don't own anything. Everything they have is rented. They stay in a room that's rented. The phone that they have is rented. It's not theirs. Everything in here is mine. So I think that all those things go into a child's mental health, and you have to start now. I used to think that kids in maybe 7th or 8th grade, that's around 12 or 13, that after that it was hard to change them. I'm learning right now when they're like 9 and 10,
Right.
who that kid is who they are. So I think that you have to start early, and to close is not just parents, everyone around parents, uncles. You know what? If I
Right.
know that
The
my
village.
sister, yes, uncles, uncles, coaches. When you see, if I take my son somewhere, I usually try to ask one of his friends who don't have a dad, whose dad's not around, so that kid can go with me too.
Right.
We can do like little things. It's not overwhelming to take one kid with you.
Right.
So I think that we have to do little things. Girls, when you go to the nail salon and your daughter may have a friend that you usually don't go, take them too. So I think we can do a lot of things, not just with our kids, because the kids that we're not helping out there, they are living in those bad environments. They're going to grow up with our kids,
Right.
and and they have a chance to hurt our kids and affect our kids, if we don't help them along the way.
Right. So I thank you so much. You have even gave me just some tips on just helping my kids, and I can't wait to share this with them and sit down and have that conversation. I think that it's important as adults, we're growing and we're changing and we're healing to also offer that same avenue for our kids, so that they don't have to, recover as much as we have to recover, because we're starting with them young and building up their confidence and their mental health. So I appreciate you so much for coming on, giving us a different perspective. And I hope that you guys enjoy. Like, comment, share this. Let your kids hear it. Have that conversation with them, and just continue to help them build their mental health and secure their mental health. So thank you so much, Larry, for joining us today. And I will see you guys next week.